Hello, everyone. I'm Christina, and I'm hoping that this time you got enough notice to come on and not miss me. I know a lot of you don't get your notifications, and I just want to thank all of you that try to make an effort anyway. This channel couldn't work without you guys, and I just really want to start off by thanking you guys first. And to anyone that is just coming along, I hope you enjoy the content and decide to subscribe. In any case, hit like, and if you want to, share the videos and definitely comment. I absolutely love to hear your comments and your thoughts. And today we are going to go ahead and welcome the Watchman and Sunshine, otherwise known as Suzanne. I remembered. You're important to me. I'm terrible with names too, but I know who you are. Very good to see both of you guys. Thank you for the thumbs up. And today we're talking about Texas because Texas has been on the news a lot. And I'm not just talking about the winter storm. A lot of strides are being made because right now we have some issues with the current president that's in office. There's a plethora of things that are being said, but I think one of the biggest conversations right now, besides the reopening of Texas yesterday, is the immigration crisis at our border. And we're going to go through all of that tonight. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the link, Watchman. Always love that. Okay. So I've got my notes, and my daughter was saying that Biden signed the stimulus check on the 1-year anniversary of us locking down. I thought that was interesting because I knew already that this month is the 1-year anniversary for lockdowns, when they said, oh, it's just going to be a couple of weeks, and then it's just going to be a couple of months, and then it turned into a year, into a point where they didn't want to get rid of the lockdowns. They didn't want to let go of the control at all. In a lot of cases, people don't know or remember what it feels like to live normally without a mask on, to be able to go to places and eat your dinner and maybe even go on a date to see a movie or something. So it didn't just change for a year. It actually put a lot of built-in fears into people that are going to be really hard to kind of come out of. And we're definitely hoping that this continues to really just relax, and that everything starts getting better, because we did find out the masks weren't really helping that much. They're doing damage to people, and lockdowns weren't helping. Today is March 11, 10 years to the day of Fukushima. Ooh, that was such a pivotal day in history, wasn't it? Hello, Fiddlesticks and Garden Spices. Very glad to see you guys. Very glad. You guys are awesome. Okay, so mask mandates and lockdowns in Texas ended a couple nights ago at the stroke of midnight, the midnight hour. It's a midnight special. No capacity restrictions. And it's like, the whole state just felt this huge, immense weight lift off their backs. And even walking around, most people are not wearing their masks. There's still some people that are. Some people still choose to, including my daughter. She doesn't feel that she's well enough to go without a mask. She has an issue with just getting sick if she goes out in public for a while. She just does. And so she wears her mask, but that's her. That's her decision. That is for her health. She knows what's best for her. Myself, I don't care. If I die, I die. I want that mask off my face, because for an epileptic like me, that means I'm going to have a lot of seizures. And I really work very hard not to do that. So I throw mine off. If I die, I die. I'm okay. That's mine. That's how I feel. But a lot of Texans are celebrating that. Word coming out about people that might give blood after they had the jab, and thinking back at what happened to people. Watchmen, that is important. That's right. If they've already had the jab and they give blood, can that affect other people? And how would you know if you needed that blood if they'd have been exposed to that? And people might want to think about that. It is better without a mask. There were people that have been working in these businesses like food restaurants, and God bless them. But you can tell that they're having problems over time. They're looking a little discombobulated. And I've actually seen where workers just outright can't function and have to go home for the day. I have seen this with my own two eyes. You know why? Because I had to pick them up twice because the mask was too much. Okay. Want to welcome all of you. Okay. So, Texas and other states have been readying for reopening. They've reopened. Galveston Beach got crowded all over Texas. There were people going and having dinner finally, and business is opening up, and it's wonderful because we're seeing so many hiring signs. People are going back to work because I'll tell you what, I would rather have all these able-bodied people going back to work than the government strapping our great grandchildren down with debt. We've got all these able-bodied people that can go to work, that want to go to work, and we've been closed down so bad that the stores, the auto parts industry, from places you might not see or expect, are being affected because these places aren't open to make the products. They can't ship the products, and if the products are shipped, they're not getting the cargo unloaded from the cargo crates. How crazy is that? There's really no reason we should have to suffer. And we have been. And with the economy getting bad as it is, Texas reopening, along with the other states, it's going to get people back to work. And that's what we really want. Nobody really wants to stay at home. We all dream of a vacation, but we never dream of a vacation where we're locked in our own house and can't even enjoy our freedom. Good. The conversation's going really well. We rebelled about the mask right from the start. Okay, we're with you. If we die, we die. We're all gonna die at some point. The question is when and how, right? And if you think about it, how many people this year have died from something other than the coup? We had the Texas winter storm. We had the 75 car pileup in Dallas. You have to think about the fact that ever since that winter storm, 4 or 5 average stories come out in Houston news every day that all these people have been shot and carjacked, and that there are crazy people hacksawing your catalytic converters right out from underneath your car, right there in the parking lot. There are people dying every day. We don't need to get to a point of fear that we actually hurt ourselves. These masks, they don't necessarily protect you. They can, but they can also hurt you, especially with this extended use. It's not safe. It's really not. Not in the long run. Okay, but while Texas is reopening, of course, there was a mask off party in Houston that was canceled because the mayor was just tripping out. He could not imagine, oh, it's too soon. It's too soon. I don't know why he picked on that club. Now, I wasn't going to the party. I only found out through the news because it was being shut down. But I am an advocate for what the law says, for people's rights. And if every other business can open, why are you going to pick on this one? Because it's happening all over the state of Texas. Okay? It's happening. You can't stop it. It's like the Berlin Wall. Even though they tried to take back that order at first, once that first brick had been pulled down, it was over. Once that order went out, and that's how I kind of see this Texas reopening. It's like the Berlin Wall. Once the order went out, people were being freed. People just wanted, there was no going back. There wasn't. Not all businesses are going maskless. We know that. And just like the businesses have a right to choose whether or not they want to go maskless, so do all the customers. You can choose not to go to that business if they're maskless. You can go with your mask on, even if they are. If you don't want to wear your mask and you see that a business requires it, you can go somewhere else that doesn't require masks. So when I hear about, and there hasn't been that many, but there have been patrons that are getting violent, I have to encourage you to stop that. And that's because, A, we have choices. And B, we don't want to invite the kind of rioting in our communities. Like there has been this mostly peaceful protesting where you burn down your own communities and the people that actually stand with you just because you're feeling a little emotional today. We don't want to encourage rioting. Take your business somewhere else. It's not that big of a deal. We need to be grateful for what we do have and be the example that we already are here in Texas to these other states, because the world watches the United States and the United States watches Texas a lot. And we're making a lot of moves. And considering that a lot of people are very disappointed in the president that's in office, he's making some very troubling decisions while he's there. He's only been, 51 days in office. And there is a lot of concern. But somebody is stepping up, and that's Governor Greg Abbott. You may or may not agree with him, but you'll see when the economy is going very, very well. I mean, economy is already picking up in Texas. Hello, Adrian. I'm so glad you could make it. I'm so glad. That's wonderful. Welcome. Okay. All righty. All right. Now, we do realize that federal buildings and public transport here in Texas are still going to be under a mask mandate. I understand that. I really do. But Dan Crenshaw, I really actually like this guy. He says that lockdowns don't work. And I completely agree, because we couldn't really completely lock down. We still had our neighbors. We still had the stores that we had to go to. We still had certain things that demanded that folks had to interact with each other, exchange money, certain things like that. There was really no way for us to really lock down. It was going to spread either way. And if you couldn't get it under control in a couple of months or even a year, we have enough data now to know what really works and what doesn't. But I'll tell you an interesting story out of Brenham, Texas. They were reporting that over 17 nursing home residents contracted the COOF after receiving the jab, all at the same time. They were otherwise healthy, but they all, and it was some of the workers too, contracted it right after the jab. Now, what does that tell you? I can't tell you what it means, but if I was looking at a pattern, I wouldn't have to be the smartest chick on the planet to see that, oh, so instead of me naturally being able to get it and possibly avoid it, you're going to possibly make sure I get it. You see what I mean? Why should healthy people have to take this, especially if it doesn't even treat it or prevent it? What's the real reason behind this, other than the fact that we see that they actually got the COOF? And what do? They move these residents from Brenham, Texas to Baytown, Texas on the coast, where guess what? Baytown is where a lot of refineries are, okay? And having been conceived in Baytown, where my parents in college, I have a history in that area. I really am. I was a water baby. But Baytown, Texas had just been pummeled with pollution from the Exxon refinery that's right there during the winter storm. That's right. So all these people that are really sick already and at high risk got moved to a heavily polluted area. Recently heavily polluted area. So that's how you help them. That's what you do. Okay. See how we're doing in the comments section. Healthy 39-year-old nurse died 4 days after the second jab. Yes. And I saw, I don't know if she was a newscaster or a former newscaster. She died that day or the next day. And this was recent too. But they're always excited about getting it. They think that they're going to get their life back to normal. They think that now they're going to be secure, they're safe, that they can get on with their lives, only to find a grave. That's it. And they're so excited about it. They talk about deception. Why can't I just take my chances with nature? Why do I have to double my chances of dying in hopes that I'll be okay? Now, I'm not a candidate for this jab. I'll tell you that right now. If it affects neurology I've already got problems with my epilepsy. I don't need anything like that in my system. I wouldn't take it even if I was perfectly healthy, but at least I can say, okay, yeah, I'm not really somebody I would trust putting that in me. That's just me. My sister, who's a CNA, got the job, but she's convinced she's got to have it to work again. I know that we're having to watch this basic people running off a cliff. They called it the fool. They've always called the fool somebody that just follows the crowd and runs right off the cliff. And we have to somehow deal with that. And they don't agree with us. They think that we're putting everybody in danger. But if you got the jab and now you've got the coof, now you're spreading it to everybody. You weren't doing that before. You're probably the problem now. If there's anything spreading it, it might be that. And I'll tell you, I've noticed where a lot of these places, like UK, they were the first ones to get it, the jab. They all of a sudden had a huge uptick in infections. Do y'all remember that? I don't know about this jab. Oh no. Paul and Adrian, that's horrible. Oh no, bad. Yeah, they were talking about how they were supposedly getting false cancer readings in women's mammograms. They're saying they're false readings, and that it might cause some swelling in your breast area right in the weeks after. That's odd. That's very, very odd. Up here in Spokane, Washington, the businesses are suffering tremendously. Now they passed a huge school levy across the board to put up a needless stadium downtown where there's no parking. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. See, the economy is going to keep suffering. We're writing checks, talking about stimulus that really we can't cash. That's the truth. It might help us in the short run, but we have to get back to work. And everybody that wants to can sit at home in fear, but we got some soldiers out here in America that know how to just face it and be on the front line. We know that we've got things that need to be done. Work needs to be done. All right, so we're going to move on to the immigration crisis, which, again, Biden's 51st days in office, if I'm correct, 51, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's it. The crisis has reached crazy levels. He won't answer any questions. He keeps getting swooped away. And it's very aggravating. We think it's because he doesn't even know how to answer. He doesn't really know where he's at. Which is really bad. So when you think about what Texas is doing, is taking a stand against that. But it's not only Texas. I know that Florida is suing Abbott over, not Abbott, the Biden administration. What do my notes say? Just that they're suing, but they're suing Biden or the government over his new laws. And Dauber is reporting that Texas is launching, well, he's not the only one reporting it, but Texas is launching Operation Lone Star to secure the borders. And that means that Texas is going to do this with or without the help of the federal government, because they're seeing a surge in cartels, drugs, and human trafficking. So it's not just about immigrants from Central and South America. We're seeing illegal immigrants slipping in from everywhere, the Middle East, Africa, and they're not being vetted. Okay, they're just not. So, and not only that, but they're sick. And if you think that it's just the coof they're sick with, they come in with lice. They come in with things that you haven't heard of in 100 years. They're just coming over. Instead of letting them stay over there and go through the legal process, he's just letting them all in. The detention center's beds are running out. So it's actually making the conditions for the immigrants that did make it over even worse, because there's nowhere to really put them. And all of these people, especially the children, are coming to your city, your state. Okay. We don't know where the adults came from. I don't know if y'all can hear me. There's a diesel truck out there. We don't know what their criminal background is. You got to remember, some of these people coming through aren't immigrants, they're coyotes. And if you don't know what a coyote is, let this white girl tell you what this is, because I've lived here in Texas all my life. A coyote is somebody that is paid to get you across the border. And these people can be very, very dangerous. You do not cross them. It can cost you your life, not just your wallet. And it's very expensive what you pay these people to get over this border. They have a kind of mentality, they'll do anything. But they're coming in. We've got terrorists. They can come just right in. No problem. The children that they're letting in, they don't even know if these children are related to these adults that brought them in the first place. They don't know if these adults even raped these kids. So what has happened is that this idealistic view of soft-hearted immigration has really put everybody in danger. What it's really done is helped rape, human trafficking, the cartels, and it's hurting everybody in America. So while he's at one hand saying, shame on Texas for opening up, he opens up the whole border for all of America and tells Texas, who wants to secure the border, that we're Neanderthals. What kind of crazy making is that? That makes no sense at all. But so far, that's what he's managed to do. Finally get a stimulus through, which, oh, it's a big win for Biden. Yeah, but is it really a big win for America? Hey, Ray J, good to see you. Spring 2021. I'm from Abilene, grew up in 60s and 70s. Back then, we got that zombie movies were funny. Yeah, they used to be funny. A year after 75% have been vaccinated with aborted baby serum and cockroach DNA. There's cockroach DNA? Ugh. I hope you're wrong about that. I hope you're wrong. Spring. Ooh, no, it's not funny. And I was just saying, we did a thing on the zombie apocalypse with the CDC. It really wasn't anything nefarious. It's just that for the CDC to even joke about something like that was nothing funny either, because it's almost like they're saying, yeah, you could get it from something weird we do. I don't know. It's just, or yeah, it's going to happen. You have your emergency kit ready, even though it was really just about awareness for disasters. It was just, could this be the way it happened? Right? Ugh. Immigration employment laws and the COVID relief bills. Just insane. Fiddlesticks, I understand. And sometimes I get down about this world too. But then I remember that I'm only here for a short time, right? Which means also that I only have so much time to help people. I have a very little amount of time to actually make a difference in this world. So it doesn't make the green mile seem so long. It really shortens it a lot. We've got, as God's children, we got work to do. And we're in a very special time. We're in the last days. So everything we do, every minute we have is critical. So try to think of it that way. Don't think about getting out of here. Trying to think about what you can do before you have to go. Lady this morning on the CMA was mocking how she would not eat the fish they showed in the Fukushima 10th anniversary video. Oh, does she not know it's connected in the ocean here and there? There you go. There you go, Fiddlesticks. You're so welcome, sweetie. You're so welcome. Sometimes it's about perspective. We've only got, and you got to think about the times. We know that time is short. If Satan knows his time is short, and we already saw that Revelation 12 sign, that's where it says Satan knew his time was short. That means ours is too. So we don't need to worry about getting out of here. Most of us, we are. Doesn't matter what the age is. 95% of this population, we're getting ready to go. Some way, somehow. So it's quicker than you think. I don't think any of us have 30 years left, is all I'm saying. Okay. So at the border, Border Patrol is overwhelmed, but we got Governor Greg Abbott, who went off on Biden, yay, and his administration, demanding that they step up and help them with this border crisis, citing that it is the duty of the federal government. He won't even answer questions. People start saying, "Are you aware of the crisis?" He just walks off. Oh, can I take questions? What about the border crisis? Oh, he's gone. He is not in power. He has some messed up, old stuck view about something that may have been going on 20 years ago or maybe 10 years ago that it just isn't right. But I heard that they finally admitted, yeah, there's a bit of a problem. They just don't really know what to do. You know why? They know what to do. They just don't want to go against the people that helped get him in the office. He doesn't want to step on their toes. He's kind of stuck in the middle, and then he remembers, oh, where am I? Okay. Governor Greg Abbott says that we need more detention facilities. And yeah, if you're just going to let them flow across the border, we're going to need more detention facilities. We need people's temperatures checked. If Texas is reopening and restaurants are saying, okay, you can go maskless, but they'll still take your temperature, and they are, we should be able to do that with anybody crossing our border. We're going to need these detention facilities. We can't just let them just come over here. We just can't. This is illegal immigration during the time of the pandemic. It's not safe. It's almost like Biden is trying to punish Texas for opening. I may be completely wrong about that, but it's kind of the way it feels. So we've got several COOF-infected, unaccompanied children being shipped into various states across the U.S., while simultaneously outlets are reporting an alarming decline in babies being born in recent years. Now, it turns out that's a bad thing. They think the decline in children being born in the United States is really, really bad. And I can see why they would think that. There are a lot of factors as to why the birth rate's going down. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the kids can see that they don't have a future necessarily. They do, but if they're having a hard time figuring it out, the last thing they need right now is children. How can you bring a child into this world? That's what they are thinking. It's not me speculating. That's what they're thinking. But then we have Planned Parenthood helping genocide the children as it is too. And then you've got people that are LGBTQ that really can't make babies together. So there's a lot of factors as to why the children are going down. But then at the same time, you see that, the children from these Central and South American places are getting free passes and bust in here. And I wonder if there's any connection. But the overall idea that they're selling is that older people need the younger workers to take care of the elderly. Weird. Okay. I don't buy it, but it could account for all the children being allowed into the U.S. with a free pass. And, I just went to Google. Got one little statistic here. It says the U.S. birth rate, which measures the number of births per 1,000 women and girls between the ages of 15 and 44 in a given year, sat at 58.2 in 2019 for another record low, according to the report. Its continual decline has been driven in part by a 73% plummet in teen birth rate since 1991. Now, that's something to celebrate because teen pregnancy was a huge issue when I was growing up. And some girls made pacts to get pregnant at 16 and have these babies. I don't understand that, but the education went out and these girls finally decided, oh, wait, maybe I don't want children as a teenager. Maybe I want to try having a life, traveling or dating or having a college education, something other than the responsibility before it's too soon. So I'm excited that the teen pregnancy rate is down. That's fabulous. We don't need babies having babies. What kind of parents can that really be? I mean, I know we've had some great ones, but it's hard on everybody. Missouri and Oklahoma are strong two-way states. Texas needs to get busy too. Law passed the House today to stomp the two-way flat. Yes, Richard, the drop in global birth rate is now a global issue because it was. I also put down in my notes that South Korea, Japan, the UK, and Singapore are also reporting a serious decline in birth rates too. And I think that some of that is due to social distancing. I mean, it's kind of hard to make a baby if you're 6 feet apart. Kind of hard to date, isn't it? But it is a global problem. It's not just in the United States. And thank you for bringing that up. Hello, Richard. Hello, Ray J, Pyrotechnic. I'm very glad that all of you are here. And I also want to thank y'all for supporting this channel the way that you have been. I really couldn't do it without you guys. Y'all are really awesome. I wanted to let y'all know that we're working on, this is not a good time. I'm on TV right now. Yeah, thank you. Bye. Happens every time, doesn't it, you guys? But the trailer itself, we pulled out a lot of the old tile. We're getting the shelf ready. A lot of glue had to be gotten up. But I just want to let y'all know that it's really, really starting to head in the right direction. But we're going to get back to what we were talking about. I just wanted to stop and thank all of you. And thank you for the thumbs up, too. And for everybody that's here, thank you, guys. We are going to start by reading some of an article. It was published today, March 11th, and it's by CNN. I know, don't boo me just yet, but at least it's an article, right? CNN Politics, what the immigration crisis debate is missing. Okay, and in the very beginning, it says all of the attention in Washington on President Joe Biden's first 51 days has been on his COOF bill, his COOF stimulus bill, which he signed into law on Thursday. But even as Biden scores a major victory with the passage of $1.9 trillion in spending to help dig the country out of a hole, I tell you how you dig them out, you get us back to work, that battling the pandemic for the last year has created. Another serious issue has cropped up. Large numbers of unaccompanied minors trying to cross into the United States at the southern border. So how did the situation get to this point? How much is it the result of Biden administration policies? And is it fair to call it a crisis at the border? Heck yeah, it's fair. It's a crisis. I reached out to CNN's Catherine Schweischert, I don't know how to pronounce that, for answers to all those questions and more. Okay? All right. And I would say it is fair to say that it's Biden's fault because they were even wearing T-shirts with his name. They're all coming because of him. He might as well have held a parade for them. Started handing them roses and stuff. Ooh. Okay. We have seen a number of major events recently impacting the region of the world where many of these migrants are coming from. 2 devastating hurricanes and endemic poverty issues that were exacerbated by a pandemic being chief among them. We all have. What these immigrants don't realize is that they're coming into a country that is on the brink of collapse, that food is already strained, resources are already strained. They're coming to a broken place. Their fairy tale idea of what America used to be doesn't exist right now. They really need to be taking the armies of people that they are and trying to make something of what they've got, because if they think they're escaping it by coming here, I'm not sure that they are. I'm not sure that they are. Biden's been in office for 51 days, and things aren't looking very good. In terms of what has changed during the Biden administration, a significant policy change that's led to some of what we're seeing is that the U.S. is no longer using the pandemic to immediately turn away children at the border, but Texas is Neanderthals. That's something the Trump administration did pretty early on, along with a lot of other changes that used to use the pandemic to crack down on immigration. And I was right. The Biden administration has been very clear that they want to take a more humanitarian approach at the border. And that means they are no longer turning away the unaccompanied minors that show up. And again, if you wouldn't have caused them to take that walk, which is dangerous, You cause these people to put their lives in danger to come here in the first place. So yeah, I can see what the humanitarian approach idea, when you look at it, isn't very humanitarian. He doesn't have the facilities set up really to receive the people. He's putting Americans in danger, and he's vowing to take care of people in a time where we needed a 1.9 trillion stimulus boost for our country, and this is the third one. I don't think it's so humanitarian for everybody all around. I'm glad you got Freedom Garden spices. They tell you not to drink when you get that coof jab. And I tell you what, I know a lot of alcoholics that would say that's just enough. That's all the reason they need not to get it. Okay, let's get back to this article just for a little bit longer. Is it fair to describe what is happening on the southern border right now as a crisis? This person says, I'm very careful about using that word. I bet. Because when we call things a crisis, you mean the truth, the conversation goes into a pretty was it hyperbolic or hyperbole? Is that what they're trying? Hyperbolic, I guess, place very quickly, where the facts sort of fade into the background and politic debate takes over. First of all, why don't you try saying the truth? Yes, this is a crisis. And that is your idealism of immigration that is causing this crisis. And of course, you don't want to call it what it is, because that might shed light on your, what do they call it? Malarkey, your shenanigans. Of course, you don't want to take responsibility. So yeah, you wouldn't call it a crisis. You just don't want political debates to take over. Well, this needs to be debated. She goes on to say, or he, I've been covering immigration for years, and we've seen periodic frenzy around the border over and over again. At a certain point, you have to ask, is this a crisis? Or when it's this different from a year ago? Oh, yeah, when we don't have the facilities. Having said that, there are very serious issues going on at the border that we should all be paying attention. Among them, record high number of kids, thousands of people waiting in Mexico, many of them in dire and dangerous conditions, which should be discouraged. As far as we shouldn't just open the door and have people with shirts. We're encouraging these people to put themselves in dire and dangerous situations, which is in turn putting Americans in dangerous situations, because it's not just sweet, innocent immigrants coming along. It's their coyotes and just different tyrannical groups, people that will take your daughter and sell her, those kinds of people. So really, if you don't think it's a crisis, it is. I guess you don't live in Texas if you don't think this is a crisis. I had, before I got my amnesia, I could speak Spanish very, very well. I'm finally back to the point where I can understand it. Even though I can't really speak the language still, I can understand it. Crazy how the brain works. But that is because those are the two main spoken languages here in Texas. You go to Louisiana right next door, the main two languages are French and English. But here it's Spanish. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I tell you, I went to California. They said they had authentic Mexican food. I went to the restaurant. I was so disappointed. They didn't have authentic Mexican food. I know what that tastes like. I know. Because I ate with them. I know what Mexican food tastes like. It's good. We love it. And I love Tex-Mex even better. Okay. All right. We're doing good. So I'm going to get done with that article for a little while, because I think it's kind of upsetting me, and I don't want to be upset. But we can talk about Operation Lone Star. They're sending in hundreds of National Guard to help with overwhelming border crossings. But I have a feeling that we're going to need a lot more support than that, honestly. Southern Texans have expressed happiness over the increased security, but had concerns that, like in 2014, locals would be getting ticketed repeatedly between Brownsville and Laredo because of the increased security that they had for the border. But they ended up ticketing a lot of locals for, like, minor issues. But this time, reassurances have been made that resources will be focused solely on immigration this time, which is good. You live, you learn. Sometimes hindsight is 2020 and you tweak things a little bit. But we don't think that Biden helped the migrants. We think that he helped the cartels. Biden's response to all of this is he won't defend President Trump's green card rule. Instead, Biden reverses that policy, and he has decided to hack Russia and advertise that he's doing it. What kind of crazy making is that? We're just going to hack your country, and we're going to tell you we're going to do it. I've had visions of Russia invading this place, U.S. soil with China, and I've always wondered what is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, metaphorically, right? And I'm sitting here going, oh, why are you throwing America into the garbage? Why are you throwing us under the bus? He's more interested in hacking Russia than solving our problems here. He just thinks he can just write us a check, keep us closed, and everything is going to be okay. Tucker Carlson states that Biden is making a mockery of the military. He isn't paying attention to the China threat, referring to the masculinity project that's going on there. Instead, he is having Biden is having maternity flight suits made for women. So if you were, say, just looking at this from another country's point of view, just take yourself mentally out of America for a minute and look at what's going on here. If China wanted to come here, if Russia wanted to come here, if I was another country looking in like China is preparing their soldiers for battle, preparing them for the kind of assaults they're going to have eventually on our soil, specifically, they're preparing them for that. At the same time, they're seeing our military full of a bunch of weak, pregnant women fighting instead of a strong military presence that pregnant women can fight our battles for us. What does that say? What does that look like? America used to be something that everybody looked up to, something that everybody strove to be like. And now our military is full of pregnant women that we're just going to give them maternity flight suits. I'm afraid for America. I don't like how we look right now. And I'm glad that Texas at least is taking a step up. And I know when it comes to Texas, America watches Texas, but everybody's watching America. Somebody's got to stand up and take responsibility. And the closest person I see doing that is Governor Greg Abbott. All right. So is it possible that countries around the globe are seeing America as a weak country run by weak military and weak officials? Yeah, I'd say that's how we look. And I think that's very dangerous. Oh, and they've lowered the military budget to almost nothing. And there are places in America, cities where their police are defunding and they want to know why 911 isn't answering. Come on now. Wake up, America. Suffering bad. I've been doing everything to try to clean out my system. I'll keep you in my prayers, Watchman. Do you take moringa or anything else? Okay, that's personal for someone else. Okay, y'all are having a good conversation here. That's good. All right. So we got the stimulus passed through the House. We got it passed through the Senate. We got it passed through Biden. So we'll see how soon America's getting their checks. But I'm hoping this is the last one because America gets back to work. We can make a lot more money working than we can waiting for these checks. Anyway, Houston, in the meantime, is trying to bridge $1 billion gap for flood projects. because Houston does get flooded a lot. In fact, during Harvey, Houston being one of the top 10 sinking cities since like 1980s, sank an additional 2 inches during Harvey flooding. So yeah, they're going to have to figure out how to make up this money for the flooding. So what do they decide? Well, maybe it's a good idea to bring casinos into Texas. Now, as a Christian, I know that that's going to bring a lot of crime and a lot of trouble, but it will also bring, logically, the logical side knows that that's going to bring in a lot of revenue, and that's what they want. They're tired of Texans having to travel to Louisiana to spend their money when they can just spend it here. But Governor Abbott wants ERCOT also billing errors corrected, because apparently there was about 32 hours of billing that went on after power had come back on. They were still incorrectly billing. So he wants those billing errors corrected. The Public Utility Commission decided not to reverse overcharging after power was restored. This issue is going straight to the president's desk. I wonder what's going to happen with that. Seriously. I wonder if the president will do anything at all. I really do. Even after he came here a week at least after the incident, I wonder if he's actually going to take this seriously. But in addition to wanting to bring casinos into Texas, Houston wants to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The World Cup. I know Cincinnati is also in the running for this, and probably a couple of other places, but this is very exciting. Houston and Texas are leading the way in opening up this country. Maybe it will, but it would definitely bring in funds. It definitely shows you that Texas and Houston are looking for long-term opening up, not short-term. And hopefully that will cause other states to open up and get the economy going back in such a way that we start bouncing back and those crates start getting unloaded at the ports. That's a serious issue. But there's something else. Talk about emergency preparedness. We're getting closer to hurricane season starting off again, and it is true that it is more intense in the like August, September than it is in May and June. But May and June is when we tend to get a lot of tropical storms in, the flooding. I've seen this tropical storm Allison was so bad. I saw railroad ties floating in the water along the streets. But anyway, the National Weather Service will be providing tropical weather outlooks starting May 15th of this year instead of June 1st. That's 2 weeks early because storms are forming earlier. This is what they're reporting in previous years due to warmer waters. Most dangerous storms still form in August and September, and this is according to KHOU Texas. So when you think about the hurricanes coming, you know that you need to get your plywood, your generators ready, your fuel ready, your lanterns, candles, extra water, because this is coming up soon. And a lot of these hurricanes, they don't just hang out in the southern states, they run north through the country and then out through the Atlantic at some point, or they fizzle out. So this isn't just something for the South. You have to have food that you can prepare that doesn't require electricity. You need to understand that any catastrophe or disaster comes in, that you probably won't be able to get to the store and get what you need, because that's when everybody's mobbing the place. That's when your life is at risk. So this is the time to get ready for the next disaster, to take what you learned from what happened last time and apply it to the next one, because every time you get better and better, you're able to kind of grade yourself and decide what you could have done better. And in my case, I was like, we need some mouthwash. That's one. We needed strong paper plates to put our food on, because the dishes start piling up, and that is a sanitation hazard big time. And I hate germs. I hate them. I'm a germaphobe. I want my kitchen clean, my counters clean, my dishes clean, my floor clean, and especially my bathroom. And don't think I don't go to doorknobs and light switches around here and clean them too. I disinfect them all. But if you can't wash your dishes and you can't trust the water that comes in from this flooding, you don't know what it's been through, the chemical plants, everything. everything. You cannot use that water, not down here. Not unless you have a filtration system that is really on point. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So it's good to prepare for the next disaster. You never know. But chances are it'll happen sooner than later with hurricane season starting. What pregnant woman wants? I don't think any pregnant woman would really want to be in battle. They should be on maternity leave getting ready to have their babies. And in order to even make and design pregnancy flight suits, that means they've got to be pretty big to need those suits in the first place. Because a lot of women, they don't really show for a little while. They show when they're at least halfway through to the end. I didn't show until I was like 5.5 months pregnant, but that's my body type. I didn't show. I was able to hide mine pretty well. But most women start showing a little bit before that. That means that if they're making these kinds of flight suits, these women are well into their pregnancy. If I was another country watching a bunch of pregnant women fighting battles for men, oh, I'd be all over that. I'd be laughing all the way to their annihilation. That's how it looks to me, is like an open invitation, not just for immigration, but for an invasion. This is how our military looks right now. Are you kidding me? Okay. Looks like you are still having a wonderful conversation. Emo oil works for me. I'm going to have to figure out what all that's about. Okay. Fiddlesticks, El Paso, Texas. We're military, so we move a lot. Missouri was our favorite place to live. So beautiful there. Central Missouri. We got people from all over America here. That is wonderful. I'm always so happy to see all of you. And The Great Deception, I didn't see that you were here. I just wanted to thank you also for coming in. I'm sorry I didn't say anything earlier. All right, everybody. Again, I just want to thank everyone who comes in and supports this channel for everything, your donations, for your time, your comments. I love all you guys. God bless you guys. But I'm going to have to go for the night. It's definitely time for dinner, some pot roast and some rice is waiting on me. And we'll talk real soon, as always. But God bless you guys. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.